What's up, Celtics fans? Should Payne become the next member of the Boston Celtics? I want to know what you guys have to say. I'm talking Payne in today's show, but I want to hear what you guys say first. Type S for sign, type P for pass, and with that said, let's get into today's show. And on today's show here at Celtics Today by Chat Sports, I am Nick Roloff. We're talking Payne, as I just mentioned, and the Boston Celtics signed a 6'8 shooter, an Atlantic 10 product, also played on the Miami Heat Summer League team this summer. We're going to be talking about it all here on Celtics Today, but we are going to start with Payne because just the other day, he was released/waived by the San Antonio Spurs. He was initially traded there this offseason, part of the Bradley Beal deal here where he went to San Antonio. Payne obviously leaving Phoenix. They get Bradley Beal, was included with a bunch of second-round picks. But the Spurs, in a little bit of a shocking move, waived Payne, and now a lot of contenders in the NBA are jumping at the bit to get the veteran experienced point guard out of Murray State. And should the Celtics do it? And I'll say this right now, Payne is a very solid backup point guard. I think there are a lot of teams that are looking to win a championship right now that could be in the market for Payne services, the Celtics included, and the rival Miami Heat should absolutely be looking at Payne because this guy is an absolute stud at a backup point guard position. Like, over the last 4 seasons, he has played very, very well. He has shot efficiently. He has performed in the postseason. He's done it all there for the Phoenix Suns. And if you look at what he's done in the past 3 regular seasons, he's averaged almost 8-10 points a contest, dishing out 4 or 5 assists a night as well. The shooting from the floor isn't ideal. It's not the greatest, 48, 41, and 41 again. But the three-point numbers will absolutely do its job. Think about this. 2020-21, played the most games out of the last 3 seasons. 44% from 3. That is an incredible number for Payne. Then he comes back to earth a little bit at 33.6%. Is he a 33% three-point shooter? No, but he did come back to that, a little back-to-earth moment for Mr. Payne. But in this past season, he got a little better, back to his mean average, shooting 37% from three-point land. And if you look at what he did in the playoffs this past year, he, for 7 games for the Suns, 8 points, 3 assists, shot well as well from beyond the arc and the field. He's been able to perform in the postseason and in the regular season the past 3 years for the Suns, and it's kind of surprising that the Spurs did waive him. Like, I understand they might not want to pay him. They might not want to give him the playing time as a younger team. But now, Payne, being released, is now eligible to sign with a different team and make a difference on a contender. Like I said, he's a very solid point guard. He can not really defend. He struggles defending, which is a main issue that maybe the Celtics don't have to deal with, right? Like, when you think of the Celtics roster, one part that they are good at is defending on the perimeter. Because if Malcolm Brogdon's healthy, he's a solid defender. Derek White is also a very good defender at that guard spot. And then you got Tatum, you got JB, you got Horford, you got Robert Williams as well. So you don't really need Payne to be a lockdown defender. What you need him to do is take some of the pressure off Jaylen Brown, off Jason Tatum, so they don't have to handle the rock for 40 minutes a night, especially in the postseason. And when Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon take a seat on the bench, Payne can step in and get the job done. And he's accustomed to playing in the big moments as well, which is something the Celtics are going to be hopefully doing this upcoming year. In the 2021 NBA Finals, Payne performed at a high level. 7 points a night, 2 assists, shot decent from the field. But listen, we're talking about a backup point guard here. So even though the numbers aren't gaudy and like they aren't so attractive, this is a backup point guard getting limited minutes in a limited role. And you're going to take everything Payne can give you. And if he does that for you in the postseason, I think you're going to be very happy about that. He was a little inefficient, as we showed on screen in Phoenix, but we saw he could be an efficient player with a slightly lower usage in the postseason. And like I just mentioned a couple seconds ago, he's not going to have a high usage rate when you got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on your team. So bringing Payne, to me, makes a lot of sense, especially when you look at the Celtics point guard depth. Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, maybe Malcolm Brogdon, J.D. Davison, maybe. I don't think you're bringing in J.D. Davison, the former Alabama Crimson Tide member, to be an effective player on this basketball team. You're simply not. We watched him in the Summer League, and he did not flash like we wanted him to prove to Brad Stevens, prove to Joe Mazzulla that he could be a player on this team that can contribute to winning. But the main player I am interested in is, do the Celtics trust this man right here, Payne Pritchard, to be the standard backup point guard this season? When you have a combo guard combination of Brogdon, Derek White, sure, you can work those guys in and out and maybe run a bit of a bigger lineup where you have Horford, Robert Williams, Tatum at the 3, Jaylen Brown at the 2, and then one of Brogdon, Derek White at the 1, and the other one being the 6th man like it was last year, and they could be your backup point guard. But maybe Payne Pritchard takes that next step. But if you don't think Payne Pritchard can, maybe Cam Payne is worth the option. And we looked at what Payne Pritchard can do in the NBA Finals just a couple of years ago. He didn't do much, but he was pesky, right? Like, he's not the best defender, but he gives it all. The former Oregon Duck gave Curry a little bit of issues. There's no doubt about that. But when he played in the biggest moment, 13 minutes, 5 points, 1.5 assists. The shooting numbers weren't the great, but he did hit some big shots. And maybe that is why the Celtics stay away from Cam Payne. I laid out a lot of good reasons why the Celtics could sign Cam Payne. But maybe Brad Stevens does believe in Payne Pritchard to be this team's backup point guard, or third point guard, if you will. And because he's had the postseason experience with the Celtics, he's played with Tatum, Brown, and the rest of the crew for more than a couple of years, he could be the option for the C's. He also played in the Team USA scrimmage team this summer, which gives him a lot of experience against the top talent in the world. Josh Hart, I don't know why I said Josh Hart, dude freaking stinks. But Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and the rest of the players, Tyrese Halliburton on Team USA. So I talked a lot about Cam Payne. I talked a lot about Payne Pritchard. Now it's time for you guys to pick a backup point guard for the C's. Type CP if you'd rather sign Cam Payne, or type PP. Oh, Jesus, Smitty, PP. Are we serious over here? If you want Payne Pritchard as this team's backup guard. And this is why you subscribe to us here at the Celtics Today, because we're starting to ramp up the coverage. And you heard me just mention Smitty's name. Well, he's now taking over Celtics Today as the channel manager, as the producer. So he's going to be working full-time, nonstop, getting you guys Celtics coverage. And whether it's me or someone else filming here, giving you the coverage you need, make sure you subscribe because we are ramping up our Boston Celtics coverage for you guys on YouTube. Now, to close out today's show, I do want to talk about some minor news for the Celtics, as Brad Stevens did make a signing. They took in the 6'8" shooting forward Taylor Funk to an Exhibit 10 deal. I said it off the top that he did play in the Miami Heat Summer League this year in Las Vegas. He also played in the Atlantic 10. He went to Utah State, went to St. Joseph's. But I want to go more in depth on the Exhibit 10 deal because they are a training camp invite with incentive. And if he makes the team, right, like as a two-way player, or he could spend significant time in the G League. So this is a possibility to be a stash player for Boston. In what is something that is coveted inside the NBA? Length and shooting. I mean, we're seeing guys like KD, Paolo Banchero, and others be lengthy, big-time forwards that can shoot the ball from deep. And Taylor Funk can absolutely shoot the pill. He played at Utah State and St. Joseph's, like I mentioned, at college, averaged 12.3 points per game over a lengthy 5-year career at the collegiate level. But I will say he had an excellent 2021 season at that level because he averaged 17.4 points per game, and he shot really well from the field at 48.2%, But when I say he played for the Summer League team for the Heat in Las Vegas, he didn't really play. He only got 3.5 points per night and did not see a lot of experience. Unfortunately for him, he was sitting behind Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Nikola Jovic for that Heat Summer League team, who are former first-round picks, so the Heat are obviously going to want to give them more looks than Taylor Funk. But I will say, in the shooting, the length, it is all very intriguing. And this is just an Exhibit 10 deal where if it works out to its best, he's going to get a two-way deal. So at its peak, it's a two-way deal. So don't look into this too much. It's not like Brad Stevens has found the next All-NBA, All-Star caliber player for the C's. It's just going to be someone to take a flyer on. If he comes in, performs well in training camp, earn a two-way, and potentially play with the G League, team. I believe, what do they, Smitty? They play in, what do they play? Massachusetts? Maine. They play in Maine. Thank you, producer Smitty. And he put it on screen. Look at this guy. This guy's unbelievable. He is a Maine Celtic. So hopefully he does make the team as a two-way. At worst, he will be on the G League team. That is absolutely sure. But it is something you could see for your C's, right? Like you get the tall player that can shoot. It's all about, when you look at the G League teams, the Exhibit 10 deals, it's always about, let's say here, potential. That's the word I was looking for. And Taylor Funk certainly has potential when you think of the frame, the shooting. If he could just work on his efficiency, can work on his playmaking, he can be someone who could be effective for this Heat. And when you look at the Celtics roster, like, there is an opportunity to be had, right? Like, Kristaps Porzingis is the power forward for this team. Al Horford at center. You have Robert Williams coming off the bench. Luke Cornett, O'Shea Brissett, Jordan Walsh, Svi Mikhailuk, who they signed, Sam Hauser. I got to be honest, not to be too morbid for Taylor Funk, but there's really no way he finds meaningful minutes this season on the C's, because when you think of what he brings to the table, that's what Sam Hauser brings, right? Like, that is all he's going to do. So at Taylor Funk's peak is what Sam Hauser is right now. Funk's not like that good of a defender either where he'd make that big of a difference. So I don't really see a way that Taylor Funk makes this roster, unfortunately. So for Funk, it's all about him potentially getting that two-way contract. And the Celtics do have an open two-way spot available. Right now they got Jay Scrubb, who I loved in Las Vegas Summer League. He was absolutely hooping. That little lefty has a smooth jumper, and he can hit from deep. J.D. Davison is probably going to get that two-way, but, brother, I think it's time to give up on him. And you got that one open spot remaining, so maybe Taylor Funk can be that guy. But more on the two-way contracts. Two-way contracts allow NBA teams to carry 3 extra players in addition to the 15 on their regular season roster. These players generally bounce back and forth between NBA and G League teams, but remain under team control and can't be coached by rival franchises like the NFL, where if you're on the practice squad, you can be poached from another team. And Smitty here, he wanted to get his take on screen, and I absolutely love it. He says, I'd love an A10 product on the Celtics. Listen, he went to St. Bonaventure University. You know who went to St. Bonaventure University as well? This guy right here. So me and Smitty are 2 A10 alums here. We both went to St. Bonaventure. We watched Taylor Funk play in person, St. Joe's, St. Bonaventure, at the Riley Center. So we know a lot about Taylor Funk. So the A10 grittiness is also something that is real as well. So why not have Funk join the Celtics? But I did mention it's going to be a long shot for him to make the real roster. But two-way, Maine Celtic, it is very possible. That's why I want to ask you, are you getting funky? Will Taylor Funk play during the regular season for the Celtics? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know in the comment section. I'll tell you right now, he is absolutely not going to play for the Celtics this season. It would take catastrophic injuries for Funk to somehow be on the Celtics roster in a meaningful game. Just going to call it out as. I'm sorry, that's what it would have to take. No offense, Mr. Funk. Don't come at me if you see this video on YouTube. But make sure you are subscribed here at Celtics Today. YouTube.com/Celtics TV. Like I said earlier, we're going to start ramping up our Celtics coverage. You're not going to want to miss out. Hit that sub button down below.